Have you had breakfast? Lunch?
No, I haven't eaten yet today.
Ah,
I don't really eat breakfast.
yeah, I
I
don't
just
either.
like coffee.
Yeah, I'm the same. I started out doing like I used to eat early when I was working the 7 to freaking 7 lifestyle as a community therapist.
Mhm.
Then I went into intermittent fasting when I was diagnosed with cancer because fasting is actually like sleep, fasting, meditating, non-stress, and getting like overdosing on nutrition is the pathway out of cancer.
Mhm.
So that made me very conscious of eating within certain windows so that I give my body enough time to detox.
Mhm.
Because if you're feeding it, it's engaged with that process and not detoxing. And now naturally, I just don't even get hungry until like 1, 2, or 3. Then
Yeah.
I'll have a big lunch and a light dinner by 6:37. But I've never been very regimented with my eating until the cancer diagnosis. And actually, it's working quite well for me. The whole don't eat breakfast and have coffee until your stomach tells you it's time.
Mhm. Yeah, I've intermittent fasted for a long time, and I don't like. It's hard to explain. I don't feel appetite. I think the way a lot of other people do. Like hunger for me is like someone is talking to me on the other side of the house, and I can just ignore it, and it goes away, kind of.
Yeah.
But I enjoy. I don't know. I don't like feeling bogged down.
You know, one place that I start in therapy as a therapist is when people come in with panic attacks, PTSD, vicarious trauma, whatever it is,
Hmm.
before we can even get to resolving, preventing, intervening with all the things, we have to start with bodily cues and knowing your body so well that you know on a scale of 1 to 10, how hungry am I? A little bit, a lot of bit, famished? Is my brain scrambled eggs? Like, how do I feel in my body? 1 to 10. Is it soft? Is it calm? Am I tense somewhere? Do I have emotion in the process? And I can't tell you how many people, like how common it is that people actually don't even know what their body is telling them. They don't know that they're hungry. They don't know that they're sad. They don't know that they're anxious. They don't know because they haven't been listening to their bodies. Not necessarily that they haven't been listening to their bodies, but they didn't realize they were getting cues all along. And it's like when you learn a new language, you hear the word you just learned everywhere, and it turns out your body's been talking to you the
Yeah.
whole time, but you weren't listening. And a lot of us in this culture push it down, power through, get through trauma, next year, next life. You know, we get 3 days off when
Mhm.
people die to grieve and bury the dead and sort all of the tasks, and then boom, back to production. So have you always had this relationship to your bodily cues? Has that ebbed and flowed or changed in any way based on your trauma or education?
I I don't know. I struggle with balance. And I I like to think I have a strong will. And so these things have never. I don't know if I listen to my body so very well. I think I have an understanding of it, and I do. Like I used to be a martial artist, like a dedicated. I was a competitive fighter, and so that requires a degree of bodily intuition, right? But it also requires you to kind of turn that off sometimes. And overtraining was always a problem for me. And so I don't know, like it just, I was listening, I forget who it was, but he was talking about one of the more dangerous elements of anorexia is that it becomes a self-fulfilling loop, and you
Mhm,
start getting like reward systems for denying yourself things that you absolutely need.
mhm.
And that really resonated with me because I will find myself doing that. You know, like I will be hungry at noon and then say, well, just wait until 2. It'll be better at 2. And then that becomes wait until 3. And then, then it becomes 4 p.m. And then I'm only eating once a day or something so it is something I struggle. Like, I don't know if struggle is the right word, but
It's
it's
present
an
for you.
it's a dance, you know?
Yeah, it's a dance, and goodness, that every emotional reality is always tied up with eating. And I think that the reasons why people restrict or push back are so different. So you can't really make a single story about what anorexia is or what depriving yourself means. Is it self-harm? Is it ADHD? Are we aloof? Are we not tracking? Or is it deliberate in a way that sometimes, like what you're saying, echoes primarily, not to categorize you, but I've heard it with people who tend to have anxiety leaning towards OCD or OCPD, where regulation and structure and lists and predictability are central. And then nourishing ourselves,
I love
caring
lists.
for our bodies, it becomes secondary or tertiary or last. And so my question for you is, when you're aware that you're hungry and you're pushing it off, is it because you're so engaged in a task that you don't want to be interrupted, and or is it because of some kind of self-punishment, the denial of what your body needs, or even a form of self-harm, which that is for a lot of people? Restricting becomes a compulsive response to guilt or shame about not being enough, not being lovable. And then it's like we deny our bodies what they actually need because there's some deep subconscious wound of not even trusting you deserve it. And that's not your case, I'm saying, but I hear it a lot in people who deny their cues. And I'm so curious about what the reasons are for you.
Well, if it is a self-harm thing, I think it would be an unconscious one. I don't think I'm flagellating. Like I said, it really is. It's more just, I have been hungry before, like truly hungry, and for long periods of time, and it wasn't willing, it was just, there wasn't food and there wasn't money. And so you endure that, and it creates like a callus, I think, at least in my case. And now my appetite is just kind of, I have to work to having an appetite. It's more, when I know that I should be eating, or that like my hands are shaky, or I'm having trouble modulating my voice, or my thoughts are scattered, or I'm getting cranky or something like that, and I know I should be eating, I can just, the part in my belly that is telling me to eat is not so strong, and I can ignore it.
Right.
Easily ignore it, actually. Like I said, it's just like a quiet little mutter that I can just turn off.
Until it becomes gnawing.
But it is something I do try to work on it. Yeah. I mean, there's a point when hunger pangs, they start to pain you, but that's after a couple days. Yeah. So it's like before that point is really reached, it's kind of like,
I wonder if you have a slower metabolism, or because if I don't eat anything for 6 hours, I will be wrecked with stomach pain. I will be like vicious monster. So
really?
I've always had a fast metabolism. I don't know, but 2 days. Interesting. Okay, so the pain comes 2 days.
I think it's changed. Yeah. Well, it's just something I can ignore. I'm not fasting for 2 days straight. Like, but it never feels urgent.
Yeah. Well, cool. Welcome to everyone being here. Hello, Maddie. Hello to some familiar people and faces and new ones. I love it. We are with Mike, who it's MP Strayer. How'd you come up with that name? Is that your actual name?
Yeah. Yeah, it just, I've tried with my full name is Michael Pillay Strayer, and it's quite a mouthful. And it doesn't, like, the Pillay doesn't, people read it. I've heard it mispronounced my whole life, Okay. And so I thought in college, I started looking for pseudonyms. And so I did like Michael Strayer, but then I didn't feel like that represented my whole family, and then Mike Pillay Strayer I was doing for a little while. And then I had MP Strayer for a number of years, and it just sounded so, it sounded kind of douchey to me. I don't know. Like I was like, this sounds like someone who's trying to sound like a writer. And then I let it go. And then I came back to it a few years ago, and I it's just stuck.
I like it. It offers a little bit of intrigue. You don't know if it's a pen name. In fact, when you because your image for your profile, I guess it was that AI constructed or a drawing, but it's like I would have no idea who you are based on that image. I figured you were like like 20 years
I drew
older,
that.
a veteran curmudgeon, you know. In fact, I thought that you were a military man, and then I stood corrected. So I like it. I'm interested
I
actually.
like the anonymity also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, I like.
I don't want people to have me in their head when they're reading. Like I want them to conjure their own narrator, use their I don't want myself to be on the work outside of the fact that I am the creator of it.
That's so cool. A lot of people are different, you know. Some people write to be seen, some people write for connection and community, and other people write because they have stories they don't want to be connected to, or they don't want their stories to be distracted from or by your presence or your, you know, reputation. Meat Sack has joined. It's such a
Yeah.
funny name. Meat Sack. Meat Sack, I don't know you.
I mean,
But I would like to maybe. I'm not sure. Your name is suggestive. And I'm not going to judge you for it. I just am glad you're here. Thanks for joining. Okay. But
we're all meat sacks.
oh, we are. We're just little bags of flesh and bone drifting through space, colliding with each other, flowing, colliding.
Yeah.
In this particular podcast, one connecting theme for everyone of my guests is what happened to you or along the way that introduced you to art and or made it feel necessary for you to be yourself or to self-actualize. Like, and when you talk about martial arts and the training required for that, and I took jujitsu when I was younger, and I know that it's a lot of repetition, it's a lot of preparation, it's a lot of mindfulness and keeping your cool. It's actually you're not learning it necessarily to go out in the world and be violent. You're learning it to sense what's around you and de-escalate it however you can before it becomes physical. And so I'm curious, first starting there, of your introduction to martial arts, how that shaped you. I mean, my ex-husband was a rugby player, and he ran all sorts of races and biked across the country. And he came from a family of stoic men that were very much about, like, push it down, power through. Emotions are the enemy. Emotions are going to become the obstacle that keep you from your goal. So don't be sidetracked or sidelined. Just power down, push through. And I remember we were running once up this hill in Barcelona, and I was dying because it was like he was obviously could run laps around me, but I was going at his pace. And he was like, pain is weakness leaving the body. And I wanted to slap his face off. I was just like, yes. And for some people who are not conditioned freaking all-star athletes, I'm going to have to go at a different pace to enjoy this. And long story short, in my own integration of life experiences, there's the rational, there's the emotional, there's left hemisphere, right hemisphere. Healthiest people, they're integrated. They listen to their emotions. They detect whether there's a real danger or is it a perceived threat. They can sit with their reactivity and decide to process and come back to making a decision or a response that aligns with their values. And so there's a lot of that premise of, like, you don't just quit when it hurts. You don't just quit because you're tired. You don't just quit because you don't believe in yourself anymore or whatever. And at what point do you listen to your emotions? And I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that balancing as you were first introduced to martial arts and where you stand today with how well you integrate.
Well, with fighting specifically, it is really easy to push because you have the motivation that someone out there is training to hurt you. And if you're not like, but it leads to overtraining, and it's just a really hard, it's a daily adjustment, I think, that you have to make. As an artist now, I find that if I don't consciously take breaks, that something happens and I end up taking a break. anyway. It's like I get sick or something. Or like today, yesterday I worked really quite a lot more than I usually do. I emptied the well, which is not always something I try to do. And so today I'm kind of I got to just let it refill, you know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to read. This is a great thing. This would be very inspiring. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's a daily, I'm an apprentice, you know, so I'm still trying to figure it out. It was definitely as a martial artist, it incentivizes you to push through your mind telling you that you can't do more. And then, I mean, also that is important. I think it's good to push sometimes. I think it's good to straddle the edge and even maybe to tiptoe over it now and again, just so that you can know that you can have these experiences. And like, we really are capable of so much more.
Yes, we are. Yeah, it's like we use
than our brain would tell us that we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like we're such interesting creatures. We are on one hand so very fragile. Like we're soap bubbles wafting, and we can poke and pop and be dead. And then on the other hand, we are like some of the things that people endure, that they can go through, that they can survive, that they can triumph over. It's astounding. It seems like it would be impossible for those two things to inhabit the same space. You know,
I'm astounded any of us are alive. We really do have some strong biological need to survive, and also it is about your will to live. It's about your joy to live. It's about having dreams that you strive for. And then we're all figuring out at what cost. At my interview with Miles Hack, we talked a lot about sovereignty, and I brought in the reference to Captain Fantastic and how, like, yes, you can choose to align with your values and ideals, and there will always be a cost to any decision we make. We're just doing the pros and cons. He was an idealist, a Plato enthusiast out there, like conditioned as ever, read beautiful books with his kids, and no one knew how to have relationships, and they were cut off from society. So that's like one end of the spectrum. And then you have chaos on the other and total lack of intentionality. Miles, I put the question to him at, like, how do you define that you are sovereign? When is it enough sovereignty? And at what cost? You know, what are you willing to lose? Because people who are the most sovereign, they often end up in isolation.
That's true. This is something I think about a lot, just in terms of whether any of us can be sovereign, if that is just a fantasy, or like even the people who claim the most hermetic lifestyle are still caught in a web of interconnectivity with all existence, you know? Everything is constantly playing off of everything else. Like, do we have free will? I think about this all the time. And then I also find it interesting because it would seem on one hand we don't. We really are just dominoes crashing into each other. And then you get down on a quantum level and things don't behave according to cause and effect, which our minds, having been shaped by cause and effect, can't really even rationalize or comprehend. And it's like, this is a very strange thing, but I think it is important to at least try to have responsibility for your life, you know, and to look at it soberly every now and again. It's like, and just see the path that led you to this point, whether or not you were on a conveyor belt or walking in that direction willfully. I don't know if that answered your question. I'm sorry. I went off on a tangent.
It sure did. I probably distracted you with the pineapple dripping spraying out of my face.
I love pineapple.
Oh my God, pineapple is the saving grace of my life. But you know, going through cancer, I learned about every food and what they do and don't do for you, and how you can't, there's no one size fits all with diet. If you have brain cancer and seizures, definitely go the ketogenic route. If you have elevated lipid profile, don't go the ketogenic route. Duh. If you have IBS or a disrupted microbiome, eat watermelon all the time. Eat bananas and sweet potatoes. You know, you got to get your pre and probiotics, and watermelon and celery, they coat the lining and they heal gastritis. And then it turns out that we smell like, oh, is there a echo feedback loop? maybe. But it turns out
Jamie,
that
I have to. I'm gonna get off the screen. So if just I'm here, I'm listening. I just have to plug in my computer. It's gonna die.
no problem.
I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna go off on a tangent about, we all know.
Okay, I'm listening.
We all know that people who eat pineapple, they smell good and taste good. And people who eat asparagus, their pee is gonna smell horrendous within 39 minutes. And people,
I like asparagus too.
you do or don't?
I do. I actually was just watching a cooking competition show, and they had asparagus wrapped in prosciutto, and that's going to be like my next thing I make. I would really like to. I can't imagine how that's bad.
Dude, I fed that at my wedding. That was a $20,000 day.
Did you really?
Yeah. Great food though.
Was it delicious?
Amazing. I didn't think I really ate that day.
Patty Fair saying what we all were thinking just now.
Yeah. Wedding and Maddie. Oh my God. I'm not even going to read her comment, but yes, girlfriend, you read it right. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And yes, I do censor myself a wee bit because my parents watched this. But asparagus, love it. I'm obsessed with it. And I have the same relationship with it that I have with avocados, which is you have like a day window, one day to get a perfect avocado experience. Too soon, it's hard. Too late, it's brown. It's gross. With asparagus, you have a very narrow margin of how much time it spends in heat before maybe being blanched, before being something else with cream on top. And people fuck it up all the time. They overcook their asparagus. They don't season it right. I'm obsessed with it. I acknowledge that the pee, it smells terrible. And to me, that's a sign of like, wow, you have a really strong agent moving through your body. Sometimes you drink whiskey and you smell like a bar 2 days after they forgot to, mop the floor. Sometimes you eat.
Yeah, I ate a whole knob of garlic on a dare, and I smelled like garlic for 2 weeks.
Oh, totally. Like I remember, and I do not mean to be any kind of like racist at all. I'm just saying in world travels, I have sat on planes with many people from third world countries that are basically just passing through to asylum or wherever they're going, but they came from places that were not safe or abundant, or they came from places where spices are very, very cheap and in well circulation. And I remember sitting on a plane with like 18 Pakistani individuals who the entire plane smelled of like the strongest curry simmering, like it was comparable to a Mexican mole in my face the whole flight. I actually threw up, and I'm just sensitive to smells, but I do think it's cool how our bodies.
Where were you coming from?
In that particular flight, I have flown around Morocco. I have been to like Russia, Egypt, Japan, Australia. So when you go, like I've been to South America, I've been all over the globe. And when you're crossing through major airports and when you're crossing through like the thoroughfares of, point A to Z of immigration, you come across all kinds of humans and stories. And I love it. That's why I love going to the airport. I hate smelling smells, but I love watching people because you get the whole world. Anyway, that particular flight strangely happened when I was flying from Uruguay to Brazil. I do not know why they were there.
Okay.
I don't know what spices they were eating down in Brazil because that they just like steak and salt. But this particular group, they stayed true to their traditions. And anyway, I don't even know how we got here. Pineapple's great for sex. Watermelon's great for the gut. Asparagus, use it sparingly when trying to seduce someone.
Yeah, that's good advice. Life lessons.
You're welcome. Sarah, girl, this girl is 14 and she's a poet and she's so smart and she tunes into the podcasts and has great commentary. So Sarah, go off, enjoy. Hi. Todd, welcome.
Hi,
I've never
Sarah.
met you. NEQ, don't know you. I hope to. Maddie, you're crushing it with the comments. And Meat Sack, Meat Sack says to you, I don't know if you're, can you see all the comments?
Yeah.
He said, did you see?
Yeah,
He
I
said,
found Maddie Ferris.
summon up my life view in a few sentences, and I can't do it without turning it into a rant. Same, dude. We're the same. This guy, I'm going to let him talk more because exactly what I love about his writing is that he says less and shows more, and that absence of flooding the page with structure and overwrought sentence structure. You know, it's like when you look at a painting and the artist purposefully left blank spaces in all of the right ways so that the total composition is like an arc of a story and conflict and mess and resolution, and you got to figure it out. And I love that you let us figure it out because I love puzzles. I loved it. That's why I'm a therapist. That's why I sometimes date men that I shouldn't, because I just love figuring it out. So back to, I do want.
That's really nice of you. Thank you. I work hard at it.
I can tell. I do want to go back to the martial arts for a moment. I want to know top 3 most important things you learned from that art form. How, perhaps, this is a stacked question. It's long. Respond to whatever you can remember. Part 2, how did that education in martial arts serve you? And where did it stop serving you to the point that you might have had to correct to come back into integration with yourself? You know, how we're going from spectrums, rigid, chaotic. Sometimes we need to power down and push through. When veterans, when people are in war, they cannot stop for their emotional reactions. They must fire off of trained motor memory of what do we do in times of conflict. Then you feel it later when you come home, I guess. And then there are people who feel it all too much all the time. They're unboundaried, chaotic. So martial arts, what did it teach you? How did it serve you?
I'm going to answer this. I want to answer the second part first. I think where it served me best is one, the discipline, like the repetition, drill. A lot of what you see under the lights on TV, or if you go to a fight or something like that, is the very end of the whole process. And so I guess that learning how to devote to the process, to give yourself to it, and to be bored almost, or to be boring, like just drilling. There's so much drilling. I mean, you did jujitsu, so I imagine you did falls. You would train one technique 1,000 times. I think there's something so important in that, learning how to hone something.
Learning how to fall,
and for me specifically, for me specifically, I had aggression in me. So where it served me greatest was that it helped me express that.
Yep.
And I do consider fighting an art. I think it's much more akin to performance art than it is sport. Even though there is a sport element and there's an element of pitting yourself against someone else, but really they're your partner to help you express yourself better.
Yes.
And so I had violence in me. I needed to know what it meant to hurt, to be hurt. And it served me well. I think as a young man growing up, it was important to get into the ring and punch and feel that resistance, to see how much you can do, to see how far you can go. It's like fighting is one of those things that you can only know how you're going to do in it when you do it. You can read about it, but you cannot predict how you're going to react in the moment when someone's trying to hurt you.
Correct.
And so that is as a microcosm of a whole lot of other things. I think that was really helpful to me. And then when it stopped serving me is kind of when that hostility inside me blew out. Because after a point, you need to be mean to be a fighter, even though some of them are very good-natured, nice people, like the people I've met in boxing gyms are really nice, and but they all have, whether they admit to it or not, they all have something in them that drives them to get into that ring and do damage to another person. And eventually with me, I woke up one day and that flame had been exorcised, whatever it was. And I had to figure something else out. And so it did definitely, I think the main thing that it served for me was allowing me the ability to work out that aggression inside of me.
Yeah.
And I think the lessons, the biggest lessons from it that I've carried with me now, I guess it's good. I mean, it taught me the value of strength. Being strong is important. And it is like the world history is replete with proof of that idea.
Survival of
and
the
then,
fittest.
like I said, the repetition as an artist is really helpful. Like you need to write 100 poems that no one ever reads before you arrive at one stanza that is in your actual voice.
That is what
like
I read.
Finding voice, I think, is so that would be the biggest one. I don't know, maybe two other lessons. Yeah, being strong is important. I think that anyway. Having the discipline and being able to grind.
Yep.
All three of those things. To be miserable.
Yep.
Was important for me.
This is my life path. That question of how do I wrestle with the violence enacted on me that I did not ask for or deserve? What do I do with the rage inside of me? Because I actually am quite a sweet, caring girl. How do I care for my body so that the rage is channeled properly? And there were so many things that you said that I want to touch on, but it's an art form. It's a sport, but it's an art form. My cousin Bob is like a 6-degree black belt in karate and teaches all around the world. And what I see in him is not violence. I see a very compassionate peacekeeper in his art form.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking about other things that you said with discipline. No doubt, discipline, team sports, the military, whatever it is, like how we learn our discipline is my greatest gift because I've always tended to be quite emotionally driven. So if I'm feeling something, I'll write it out. It might be amazing, or I might rage it out. It might be terrible, and it could go any direction. So I've really had to learn how to hone my emotional states and be responsible for them, communicate them effectively so that there's like progress moving forward and not back. When I think about discipline and bringing it back to this thread of integrating the left and right hemisphere, the analytical with the emotional, the language with the implicit memory. I think about piano lessons, for example, and how many parents put their kids into lessons to introduce them to the world, to see what they like, to give them opportunities, to make friends, whatever, have fun. There are parents who drive their kids like Venus and Serena Williams to be superstars. You know, Michael Jackson's dad, a taskmaster, abusive Nazi, right? That is an extreme. It's too much. How do you foster like critical thinking and insight for children who don't know what the world is, don't know what they like, they just want to play video games and hang out, whatever, be on their phones now. So parents, like, what is your definition of a good parent and how much you push towards discipline before you let loose and let their emotions dictate what happens next? Because I was in piano lessons since I was very, very young. I eventually stopped in high school because I had so much stage fright. I was so stressed about the performance of this art form that I wasn't enjoying the process of the art form anymore. I pleaded to stop lessons for a while before I finally stopped. And I think my parents did the right thing for how much I had dedicated to it and how much I wanted to stop at that point in time. I think they made the right choice. But looking back, I get mad at myself and them because I know that if I had stuck with it and they had pushed me just a little bit more, I would have been great. I would have become a master in a way that I so
Mhm.
adore and respect in the peers that I have today. So where's your line between discipline, pushing through, and emotion, giving in to what your body's telling you it actually needs? Maddie Fair says Tiger Woods too. Yeah.
Well,
Listen, like I do have a theory that narcissists, masters, and experts come from some of the most rigid abuse because they have perfectionism, which means it's rooted in shame, which means it will never be enough, which means they have to be great always. And it's a catch-22.
mhm.
To your answer.
Well, I mean, I sort of what you just said resonated with me. I mean, I I strive to be great at this, and I happen to love it. So I don't know. Like, there are obviously days that I don't want to sit down and write, and you have to sit down and write. Like, you have to, like, even if it's just doing something in a journal. But I also, like, today I'm sort of taking an active rest day. I'm engaging with something that's going to stimulate my brain. I don't know. It's hard. I think making a commitment to something and following that through, even if you realize about halfway through you don't want to do it anymore, is important just to build up the muscles in your brain that allow you to finish things that you start. I'm a big believer in finishing what you start. My parents hated that I fought, so they like the discipline that I derived from it was self-imposed. They didn't push me into it. The things that they did push me into, like I had to play soccer. I hated soccer. I did it for 3 years, and then they didn't make me do it anymore. Like I was lucky. My mom sort of fostered in me a kind of an autonomy in my path, and they just whatever it was. Like my mom, I remember early on, the main lesson she would say to me is just never be ashamed of supporting yourself. Work is noble, and it doesn't matter if you're flipping burgers. It doesn't matter if you are a CEO. It doesn't matter if you are a doctor, which my mom is. And after that, she kind of just gave so it was like she just gave me a rein. She's like, go do something. And they were encouraging. I'm very privileged. They didn't fight me on anything that I wanted to do, even though it drove them nuts. Like I actually have a poem about it on Substack, but my first time getting beat up in a boxing ring was a lesson for me. And I came home and I was so demoralized. I don't know if you experienced this doing jujitsu. You can though. Like when you're rolling with someone who is much stronger than you, ragdolling you around. It's like you go sit in your car afterwards. And you're like, what am I doing?
You're like, I am
the first time I got beat up and I was telling my mom,
I'm nothing. Yep.
Yeah. And I was telling my mom about it. And this is something my mom hated me doing. She's a doctor. She does not want me to damage my brain.
Right.
And instead of telling me, that would have been a good time for her to be like, well, maybe you should quit. All she said was that I needed to remember this pain that I'm feeling and cherish it so that I don't let it happen again.
Oh God.
And then she just let me keep fighting, so I'm lucky. Yeah.
Your mom is
I think parents can be overbearing. I guess I never experienced it though. They're overbearing in different ways. They really I didn't have health insurance for a long time. That infuriated them. That was a continuous conversation.
Oh yeah, for sure. I infuriate my parents all the damn time. My dad's a doctor. Everyone else in my family is a doctor. They did it all textbook, right, safe, structured families. They put the roots down. And me, I popped out like some little black sheep artist, queer in a Seventh Adventist community with no idea what to do with. So I left. I went to Nashville in 2003. Never came back until now. Mm-hmm. And well, I think my parents gave me just so much more than most kids in the world get ever. And they gave me dreams. They let me experience
I feel the same.
And they made mistakes, which I reacted to, which is, I left for 2 decades and wandered back. And I really do adore that they let me try out a lot of things, gave me exposure. So as we're talking about sovereignty, how do you define it? Because freedom is my number one value. Freedom, trust, honesty. compassion, caring for others as I want to be cared for, and pushing myself to be expressive in all the ways that I need to be. Those are essentially my top values. Then, of course, money and everything else, family. But sovereignty is number one for me, which is why I'm single, which is why
I
I'm
guess
by myself. And at what cost? How do you define sovereignty for you in a way that you're satisfied? And at what cost does it come?
I guess it would be, I tend to, when I think about it, I lean more into like that stoic idea that inside of us is an imperishable, inaccessible thing that no matter what else is taken from us, as long as we maintain our possession of like ourselves, you are sovereign. You can be sovereign when you're in chains, you know? But less philosophically or abstractly, it would be, I mean, just taking, you have to take responsibility for your decisions, even good and bad. You have to own the things you've done, and learn from them, so that you are not that you are acting instead of being acted upon and reacting.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And that to me is the art form of martial arts. You're constantly watching everything around you. You have situational awareness. You have control of your emotions. And you are trying your damnedest to predict what is to come, how to prepare for it, how to survive, and how to not hurt yourself or anyone else while you do it. And that's exquisite. Those are the most advanced skills that I could give any football player, any client in therapy, any past, present, or future partner of mine, and especially myself. The art form is to not push your emotions down and to not be rigid or chaotic, but to be integrated. And it's not to say you're going to be in balance all the time, because mostly we are never, and mostly people want certainty and predictability, and mostly we never have those either. So the art form is mindfulness. Notice the emotion, name it, talk to it in a compassionate voice, sit with it, hear it out the way that you would listen to a toddler who's pissed that it can't have 7 popsicles for breakfast. As rational adults, we know that that is ridiculous. And for them, they're having very real emotions about the world not being fair. And so if we can sit with our parts that are young, that cope in all these ways, and hear them out, it's not to defend, justify, condone dysfunctional behaviors. But when we sit with ourselves and we hear all the parts out, and they get tired, and we're like, God, I know it's so shitty. We can't have 7 popsicles for breakfast and not get cancer or diabetes. That sucks. Why are popsicles so tasty and kale is actually not tasty on its own? You know, the world is
Damn, I
unfair.
love kale.
No one told us that we were going to be popped out we had 0 informed consent. No agreements were established. People fucked. We got popped out. Hopefully they loved each other. A lot of them don't. And then you just grow up in that. And then you got to figure out, I did not choose what happened to me. It's not fair. And it is my baby to carry responsibly if I don't want to further traumatize myself or someone else. So it's balance. Sarah thinks.
Yeah, and I think it's a constant.
I just say that was funny. Sarah, what's funny? I mean, I know I'm funny and I know he's funny, but I missed the moment where we're actually being funny in the last minute, homegirl. What do you think she thinks is funny? Me eating pineapple that's too big for my face?
That you're gonna raise kids with me, Eddie. Do you put pineapple on pizza? How do you feel about this? Not to derail the conversation. I love pineapple.
Pineapple, jalapeno, maybe some ham. Sweet, salty, grease. So those are, any Michelin star restaurant is going to combine all of those in their best dishes. So I also eat peanut butter sandwiches with pickles. Okay.
I've been singing the praises of peanut butter hamburgers for years. At Chico, where I went to school, there's this bar restaurant called The Bear. It's like a Chico institution, and they have a Jiffy Burger, and it's one of the best things you can eat. It hits like every single taste bud and texture want you could possibly have.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was
Thousands
talking.
of popsicles
I
for
muted
breakfast.
myself. I was with you. I'm trying to digest this pineapple. Cool. So let's get. I love that we've got our weird little Sonic, just addictions that feel so good in the moment and are so terrible for our bodies. So back to sovereignty. I might be so distracted because yes, I have ADHD. I think that's so obvious. And also the chat is popping off with some good shit. And I'm eating and I have like 7 therapy sessions today. So tracking things becomes complicated.
That's a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot. Sovereignty. How do you define it for yourself? Did you already say all of this and I missed it? I don't know. Just say it again, like simple terms for my little ADHD brain. Sovereignty. What does that look like? And what's the cost?
I think sovereignty is just a fidelity to self. And in that way, like I was saying, there's a Stoic idea that within us is ourselves, and as long as we maintain truth to that, no matter what's happening outside of us, you can remain sovereign. So you can be in any situation and have this imperishable, unscratchable thing inside of you that is outside that situation. And then I think a more prosaic way to look at it is just taking responsibility for your decisions and acting instead of reacting, which is hard. Yeah. I mean, again, like I said earlier, I'm not even sure if this is, I look at this, I'm like, I'm not even sure if this is a real thing. I mean, we are caught in a web.
Yeah.
There are a trillion things happening to us at all times, inside of us, outside of us. And I think maybe the only way to truly, like, you are sovereign is just in your mind. But
it's in your mind. I don't know. I love that answer.
I mean, it is. I think about whether it's real.
This is why I invited you onto my podcast. Hey.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Can you introduce the poem that you brought to read today and what inspired it, drove it, what your process was like with it? Because you did have it published, and that's a whole journey from journaling out 22 pages, circling 5 lines, creating a poem, reducing it, expanding it, comma or no comma. Like, walk me through the whole thing.
Well, so I picked this poem because there is a journey attendant with it. It was a long, so in March of 2013, a friend of mine died in a drunk driving accident. I was on my way up. I was living in Ventura at the time. I was on my way up to Chico to go visit the woman I was seeing. And I stopped at my buddy Sam's house in Alameda. And I asked him, he was dating a mutual friend at that time. And I asked him how she was doing. And he goes, well, do you want the nice answer or the true answer? And I was like, well, obviously I want the true answer. And he goes, so Sierra was in a car accident and her skull is crushed. She's in the ICU right now and it's not looking good. And so the next day, this was in Chico, is where she was hospitalized. So I went there to say my farewells, and I got there about 20 minutes after she had been declared dead. And so her dad came out, said hi. I said, I just wanted to go say goodbye. And so he took me into the room, and what I saw there imprinted on me in a lasting way. And that room has sort of manifested in everything that I've written since, in abstract ways that I only would notice, and ways that are not so abstract, which is this poem. So I've been writing about it for a very long time. Many pages, thousands and thousands of words, prose, poetry, journal entries, bad poetry, things that I've been trying to get published, things that have been rejected, other images that have been published. Like, there's just been this, and it took me a really long time to arrive at the words that eventually this one editor wanted to use it. So that's the introduction. My friend's name is Sierra, and this poem is for her. Do you want me to read it, or should we keep talking? I'm happy with either.
Yeah, my emotions are flooding my throat. So yes, please read it.
Okay, so for Sierra, this is called Breath and Air. Certain quiets reach deeper than hearing. They exist, say, in small, dim rooms, in hospital wings shuttered from the sun, in a small, dim room where a crowd has drawn, round a bed with metal frame, round a figure in bed, with the hair you knew all sheared away, with the macerations of a merciless pavement like clouds of rage across her cheeks and brow. The half-light whispers with the wind of little noises, snufflings, stirrings, sudden private gasps of bewilderment and anguish, and the metric, mechanized hiss and sigh of the ventilator that hides her lips from sight and billows her lungs with an air that is not breathing. A cramped room far from quiet, but herein a greater silence pervades. In the space over the eyes of the dead, in the interstice between the pulse of the machines, in the poise of her grandmother hunched at the bedside, counting in a daze the girl's chipped, unfeeling toes, like an old maid in a fable, condemned to some absurd, infernal numbering. In the gaps that demarcate our heartbeats, in the hush of the ventilator's pumps at rest. It seems to take hold of you when you're there with it, this silence, not as in anger, with fists by the scruff of the collar, but as one seeking to command notice, seizing you by the arms, the shoulders, entreating gently, be still. Certain quiets reach deeper than hearing. They speak to us in a place older than language, where you listen not with your ears, but your heart and skin. Death must hum at his loom, the way people sometimes do when engaged in tasks familiar or perfunctory, or acts that bring joy but require patience, patience, patience. After the switch is thrown, after the sorrowing, after the body is lifted from its pillowed bed and by clinical hands transferred to the gurney of its last repose, as beneath a dimpled sheet she's wheeled down a corridor flanked by witnesses, through a brace of swinging doors, into another room, small, with a drain in the floor. The quiet of her passage before those watching ranks blossoms through the air, fills the tear-brimmed eyes like the waiting after a thunderclap, the voice of a thing felt but never heard. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate the opportunity.
That poem is so perfect. It deserves to be published everywhere. Because
thank you for saying so.
Maddie says so incredibly beautiful, damn straight. Anyone.
Thank you, Maddie.
Anyone who has been in hospital rooms, who has had to have abrupt goodbyes or long goodbyes, the hospital room, which is why I actually named my profile Rooms of the Living, is because I've been in so many rooms of the dead, and I'm trying to figure out how to carry it with me, which is why I renamed this episode in like premonition form of what do we carry after, you know. What strikes me most, and I'd love to hear from the chat, from anyone, what struck you most, even if you can't quote it, just the feeling or whatever you're sitting with, the ideas. What strikes me is you didn't get to say goodbye. I'm curious what your last memories are with her. There's a shaved head. There's trauma intervention. There is everyone who tried and couldn't. There are people who die and come back. Many. and there are many more who don't. Why do some people do? Why the rest don't? Why young people die of violent, horrible deaths while other people can drink and smoke 2 packs a day for 70 years and somehow stick around to be bitter? Why did the best ones go? And as we're grappling with all of that, the birds are outside fluttering and doing their thing. They don't even know. The world, everyone's honking in traffic because they're late for their Starbucks fucking Frappuccino diabetes bullshit, as if the person they just cut off, they didn't realize that was a person and that maybe they have problems too. And maybe there's a pregnant woman in the back of their car, but no, they want their coffee, and the world just pumps and pumps and goes on as if your favorite person was nothing. And then you have the anguish. It's abrupt. They interject, and the birds are out there doing their own beautiful damn fucking crisis that, they're working through, of having parasites and pathogens and lice, but they're still being beautiful for us. They don't even know their beauty. So that's there. The beauty is all around us. The indifference is all around us. The uncare is all around us. And the absolute evil is, however you want to define it, just chaotic irreverence or true sinful nature. But people are damn selfish, and they do not care about you and what you're thinking about, what you're driving with. They just want to go get their damn coffee on a Tuesday morning when you lost your favorite person. So you captured so many memorable, palpable parts of my own story, losing my favorite people too young, too often, so that everything that you just read, it strikes me so true. And
well, I really appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
Like, I believe that it's not my quote. I think it's either a William Faulkner or William Blake, one of the Williams, quote about the way you write universal truths is through the specific. So I wanted that piece to resonate in a wider way through hyper attention to detail. And because it's something, it's an image. I think the word obsession is a fair word here. Like it just really, it became a part of me in a moment. And the way you process that is through attention to detail, through noticing. Or for me anyway.
There I am. Yes, to all of that. William Faulkner is one of my greatest favorites of all time. Have I reread his books? Never. I reread Hemingway, Fitzgerald, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Haruki Murakami. I never read Faulkner twice, because when I work through it, I'm working through even the densest next to like Wittgenstein of condensed, very specific experience that you have to dissect so slowly. It's not even word for word. It's like Latin root. That's how symbolic he is without telling you anything. He shows you in the details. And The Sound and the Fury, one of my most impactful books of all time, because you get life from the same event as it was, and there's no qualifier: good, bad, healthy, evil, unjust, perfection, bliss. You just get perspective as people are processing it in real time. And what I love about your kind of writing is that it really shows it in a way that anyone could connect with it, even if they will never see their good friend with a shaved head in a hospital bed too early. That's specific. But when you pan out to the more generalized specific, I think everyone in this room, all the rooms that I occupy for all of life, they know loss and ache and those details that bless you and haunt you for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
Beautiful poem.
Thank you. Yeah.
I want to know a little bit more when you talked about how everything you've written ever since is about that. I know it's like there's life before this moment and life after.
Not
Or
not about it, but it appears in ways that I don't plan. Like if I go through and I've written many hundreds of poems since then that do not have anything to do with that, and you wouldn't find it in there. But longer pieces, just I don't know. And I mean, I think I'm still trying to figure out what it is that has quite about that moment that has hooked in me so much.
Well, I was just
but
tuning into the chat, and Maddie,
yeah.
when I asked them what line or thing, emotion, theme struck you, Maddie said, the line that struck me most was the one about the respirator forcing air that was not breathing. And yeah, actually, I agree with her. I was listening, breathing, eating, functioning. And when that line came across, I was like, that is drop dead gorgeous and devastating as fuck and true.
Well, I appreciate that being highlighted because for me, what I've come to realize is that that was the revelation of that moment that struck me the most, and that I've still been trying to explore. Was that when I was in there looking at, because they hadn't, I had gotten there so soon after she was actually declared dead that they had not turned off the life support. So technically, I was looking at a living body that was so resonantly, palpably not alive anymore.
Yeah.
And like, what is it in us that goes away? And I think, I don't know if there's if you can even answer that question, you know, with like, you just have to keep noticing these things. But I appreciate that. And that's why that poem is called Breath and Airs. Cause there was a moment I had this really profound realization. I was like, there's something we are doing that makes us, that makes us alive, that makes us different from the material that we are made out of. And it, to me, has been a very fecund ground to explore in terms of art.
Ooh, I love that word. Fecund or fecund, but tomato. I love it. I love your diction, dude. I do
Fecund.
love it.
God, I mispronounce words all the damn
So
time.
do I. I didn't even know that a pyre was a pyre until I read it out loud to my like senior English class. They were like, I said a pier, and they're like, do you mean pyre? I'm like, yep, probably. A rye. I couldn't pronounce that for a long time. I thought it's Ari. You have words that you read.
Do you pronounce it macabre or macabre?
Macabre. And the French fuck us up every fucking time, man. The French have ruined everything, and then English butchered the rest of it. Like, I was talking to Elijah about this. Worcester and all of the towns up in northern New England, because I lived out in Medford, Massachusetts. The way they pronounce things up there, they like take out 6 consonants and just shorten it into a 1-syllable word. I'm like, that works for you. We have no idea what you're talking about, homies. Same with Nashville. You go into Jasper, Tennessee, which is only an hour and 12 minutes outside of Nashville, and you get people who speak in some kind of like idioma that is not perceptible to the English language. And they so I don't know what I'm trying to say. Hold on 1 second. I got a neighbor coming to the door. I'll be right back. Go find another poem, engage with the chat, or talk about okay.
There's some
okay, go ahead. Oh, the one question I had, Maddie, and I'm so sorry. There's a delay because this is, it's awkward, and I try to attune, but there is a delay, and I think your Wi-Fi is a little bit weak. That's okay. I wanted to ask you and then respond to Maddie. Maybe it's not everything that you wrote after this accident about her, but it comes in and out. It's interwoven. It's in the subconscious. It's in the symbols. Mm-hmm. It's all truth. Everything you wrote. This is the shortened, condensed piece that got published. sometimes poetry is more evocative than any other art form because it demands that you get straight to the root of it now. But there are other ways of exploring grief and showing the whole relationship and why that respirator line was so potent. And that is prose, and that is creative nonfiction. And those could go on for pages and thousands of pages. So
Yeah.
in your process of journaling, looping, identifying, condensing, lengthening, poem, edit the poem, revise the fuck out of the poem, when is too much, when do you arrive at enough, of all those, the whole process, start to finish, of you ending up in that poem, and all of it's true, but what other forms? Oh, am I frozen? Let's try that.
A little bit, yeah. It's okay.
You gotta tell me, man.
Your voice is better.
Oh, okay. What other forms of this process of like excreting and wrangling with grief did you feel attached to that you had to set aside in the parking lot or for some other publication so that you could put this poem out?
A number of short stories that moment has figured pretty centrally in. I wrote a screenplay where the hospital room is one of the pivotal scenes in the piece. I don't know. I thought it's a lot of writing. That Sierra died in 2013, and then that poem was published in just last year. So it's been a long lot of writing and a lot of different contexts. And again, it's not planned. I try not to plan. I just sort of let the things. Revision is where the structure comes in and where you're imposing more, but the initial flow, things just come out of it. And in so many different things, it's mostly just that the light and the room and the feeling of being in that room and what a person looks like in a hospital bed when they're not alive has been the central image that recurs in just so many different things. And again, it doesn't come out in a planned way. It just emerges into the work organically because it's there. It's inside me. It's buried in my subconscious for all of life, I think, probably, if I had to. Maddie Fair, I do really appreciate all of your insights. Thank you.
Maddie is a very new favorite friend I have on Substack who I met through Elijah. And Maddie, do you live up in Calgary too? Like you're in Elijah's real life, I think. Let's start a polycule with Elijah. Yes. Should we bring Elijah on here? No, he's working. He's working all the time. Poor man. Maddie was making comments about how your poetry made her feel as if you were one is really there. And that's what I was alluding to in my long-winded integration of your poem.
Oh, okay.
Integration of your poem.
That's the goal with everything I write. I want always the reader to walk away as if they have a new memory.
A new memory that touches on their own old memories that they then take and expand into something new because you put your truth out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that connecting chain in their growth wouldn't be there had you not sat with your feelings, wrestled with them for days, weeks, years, and been bold enough to be vulnerable with the world about how cruel and how beautiful the death process is. And one place I'm interested to touch on is near-death experiences. I alluded to it before, how many people are pronounced dead clinically, then they're resuscitated or they come back to life. And there are documented cases, thousands all over every continent since time immemorial.
Mm-hmm.
It's something we don't understand. I like how you worded it, that we may never know. It's like the idea is we may never know. I think anyone who's intelligent and honest can admit nobody knows exactly what happens before birth or after death. We have theories, we have gravity, we have the Big Bang, we have miracles. but there's a lot that we can't put language to or rationality to because we don't have the skills, the technology, the intelligence, whatever. But there is absolutely an in-between chapter of living and dying, which is the crossing over and that thin veil that exists when people die. And I am essentially a death doula in experiential training, though I'm not certified.
My aunt is a death doula.
Yeah. And any death doula or any nurse or anyone present consistently in the death process can tell you that it's not anecdotal, it's not hallucination. It is the case that 70% of people, when they're dying, as they're reaching death's door, they are welcomed over, whether by ancestors, guides, Native Americans, whoever's on the land, and maybe they're hallucinating because their brain is, excreting DMT, or maybe it's because there actually is a spirit world and an eternity of the soul or something that we can't prove. It's my personal belief just from psychedelic needs and whatever I would consider a near-death experience that has not been clinically verified. But there are like 12 common factors that are the golden thread through every near-death experience. A lot of people see the light. Everyone feels bliss and peace and freedom. And there are signs when someone's dying, when they start seeing the grandmas here hanging out, everything's all good. Look at Uncle Joe over there. There's also a phenomenon, I'm curious if your aunt has experienced it, witnessed it, is often right before people die, they get a surge. And I don't know what that is, like survival's last stand or a spiritual relinquishing of everything that guilted, shamed us, bogged us down. But there's a surge where if someone's been in bed for 6 weeks, 3 months, they might get up and start cleaning. There's a surge, like they could have been in a coma. They could have had, what do you call it? Like when the brain is flooded with toxins, when the liver and kidneys fail.
Encephalopathy?
Yeah. Because it's not the same. It's not CTE. It's not what the footballers get and then they become murderous and kill themselves. It's encephalopathic. My brother was there. My partner was there. People can go into those spaces where their bodies are regulated by nature, but then mystically they can come out of those spaces and be totally transparent and lucid and tracking orientation when just yesterday or the day before they thought Reagan was still president or whatever. But there is an in-between process where the soul, I believe, is leaving the body and it's reclaiming all that it remembers, but it's still attached to the body and all of its deficits and dysfunctions. And there's an in-between that is recognizable in the 12 most common factors of thousands and thousands of these experiences. When you were in that room with her and you're having to process the end that's abrupt and her physical state and what you remember and what you're hearing in the birds and all of it is a swirl, did you ever sense some kind of in-between in a way that you could put into language? I think you did. I think that's why I gravitate towards your poem, because it's all. But I'd be curious for your answer. Like, did you notice a sense, a spirit? Like my brother, when he died, he was dead for 3-4 hours. When my siblings went back in the room later, he was smiling. And that could be because of the, rigor mortis and the tightening, but it could also be because, like Steve Jobs, the second you're crossing over, he goes, wow. I had no idea. Wow, 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 wow. Then they're gone. There's something, I think there's like a revelation, a light, a transitioning, a guidance that is the in between. But I'm so curious what your answer might be to that.
Oh, no, I mean what you're saying. I believe in the soul, and I don't believe in notions of a hereafter. Although I can't. I mean, I don't pretend to know how the universe works, um, but I do believe. And so I think what I experienced in that room was the absence of that entity. I was not there for the transition. I was there after it had already occurred. So I think what I was feeling wasn't spirit. I was feeling the lack of it. And that's why it was so resonant to me, because I was seeing a living body. I was seeing a body where the lungs pumped, the heartbeat
Yes.
beat, blood was flowing, but was nonetheless a dead being, you know?
Right. And that is one of the things that devastated me the most about my partner's death, because until he died, I could still track him all the way through. I knew when he was having seizures. I knew when he had a stroke. I knew when he lost his orientation. I studied him for years, loved him every which way. When he died, I couldn't track him anymore. And when he died and I saw the body after it had been frozen or whatever the fuck and put makeup on, and it's some kind of best attempt to recreate life when it's not there. When I saw him in his little frozen fingers and all the joy and light was out, I said, that's not Joshua. That's not Joshua. He's not here.
Yeah.
His soul's not here. Maybe his soul is here. I mean, I do know that. Same with my brother. He had all the light, the pearliest smile, the life of the room, the Leo of the universe, just like generous quarterback of our family. Dead. First time I saw him dead, my sisters and I were in literal horror and shock. It was like such a desecration to who he was, the makeup and how they posed him. And I was like, oh, fuck that. Like, fuck that artification, denial that death is real and death is around us all the time. And a lot of other cultures figured it out in multiple continents, that there's a process to in between, then, after, in the afterlife or whatever, Tibetan Book of the Dead, Revelations in the Bible. Like, we've all got this idea. But that's what hit me so much, is like, yeah, you're seeing the body. Technically, it's alive. Their soul's not there.
Soul's not there.
Right. Where does the soul go? And I'm curious too, like, since you do believe in the soul and eternity of it, how have you experienced people who have died to be still here with you now? Is it pattern recognition? Is it projection? Is it wishful thinking? Or is it real in ways to you that maybe you don't talk about, but you know?
I mean, I don't know. We've all had, I think that there is so much happening around us. And if you there's like this really great Mary Oliver line about, if you don't have angels in your head, you won't see them. And so I think that we're constantly being not bombarded, because that's got sort of a negative connotation, but just we're in the flow of all existence outside of time all of the time. And so for me, I don't know, like I have recurring dreams about friends, but because it's a dream, I find myself a little more skeptical of them, even though they feel so real when you're having them.
Yeah.
But that would be the closest. There's recurring dreams I have about people wanting to just tell me they're okay,
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. That's always
the night my
been
grandpa died, I had a
true.
dream. But it's it is easy to be skeptical about it too, because dreams come from the subconscious, and this knowledge is in my subconscious. Like when
Yeah.
my
Well,
grandpa died, I had a dream about him. He came and I gave him a hug, and I knew he was going to die. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, well, was I experiencing a visitation, or was that just my subconscious preparing me for the phone call I knew I was going to get the
I
next
know,
morning?
right? Rational
And then
thinkers ask those questions, and then people who actually study mysticism, mythology, all the creation stories, every religion, every society, there is another common link of the dead are not dead, and they absolutely visit in dreams in other ways. But dream worlds are not just Jungian subconscious processing, it's also how we feel into the beyond. However it works, we don't have the science or language for that yet, but it is verified that people do have premonitions. It's verified that you get an exact quote or some information and you don't know what it means, and you give it to someone and they break down and then go find a box of letters or a letter saying, give the car to my son or whatever, and it turns out to be exactly as you dreamt it. Same thing. I absolutely had a premonition of my brother dying exactly 1 year later at the same time. Didn't believe it. Forgot it even happened until after. And then I remembered, and I was like, because I had videoed it, because I like talk to myself all the time. I text myself, send myself videos. I found the video and I was like, holy shit. I named it
yeah.
the same day, the same time, and I didn't know what it meant. So it's like things like that happen. Then you talk to a lot of other people who also experience things like that. I think the best we can do is say, I don't know, but also stay open to how beautiful and
Yeah.
infinitely expanding it all is.
I am open. And in fact, more than open, I lean much more that there is so much more to this thing we call existence than we can perceive.
Absolutely. We're
and
little
it's happening
ants.
all the time.
Yeah.
There's so many layers. And just, I don't like, it's people who have certainty that I'm always very skeptical of. I'm like, how can you be so sure?
Same.
And I find that in people who are religiously zealous.
Yep.
I look at them like, you are awfully certain. And it's the same with most atheists that I've ever met too. I don't want to offend anybody, but I find them silly. I look at them and I'm like, you are very sure. And there's this underlying mystery to everything that we can't understand.
You have to have a lot of arrogance and hubris to be rigidly atheist or Zionist or whatever. It's a spectrum.
Yeah.
I have always said those
I agree.
words, Mike,
Yeah.
that I do not trust anyone who presents with certainty about anything or everything. Anyone who is that sure and single storying and emotionally reactive and not patient enough to actually do their damn research. The people I know who are the most intelligent, the wisest, the most educated, they know nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think but again, like I definitely lean more towards there's something more happening here that we just can't hold. It's an intangible metaphysical thing. But it informs our lives.
Absolutely.
But it is like, I mean, I don't know. I also endlessly fascinating.
Yeah, it is endlessly fascinating. I certainly have a vocation for walking people through the hardest transitions of their lives. I have learned that when people die, even if it looks horrible, most of the time, they're not actually feeling most of what we're perceiving them to feel, probably. It's the suffering for the people who witnessed it. And yeah, the people, I just see bliss and terror, like creation and destruction on the same coin. You can't have one without the other. It's all part of it. I don't like the suffering I've had to experience or that I've had to witness on this planet. And it's not just story making. It's like faith that there is actually a soul that goes on that helps bring perspective to it's also serious and none of it is, and do your best to balance and be good. But I'd laugh too at the atheists. Like, there's a special type of arrogance, and I know because I've dated the smartest ones of them. Intellectualization is a Freudian coping mechanism, and sorry, but maybe they did have problems with their mothers and not feeling safely bound as infants.
I also think a lot of them are lying. I think that if you're walking on a sidewalk with an atheist and the bombs start falling, they're going to be praying to every god they've ever heard of. So that's not 100. I've also had this conversation with someone who was in a near-death experience and was just at peace with what was happening and did not have an urge to like seeking some other thing, like this reflexive desire to be like, oh, save me, did not experience that. So I'm not saying this universally, but I do think a lot of people are not they're not being truthful. It's like there's no atheists in foxholes, I think is the saying.
And there are a lot of people who are religious who are manifesting or presenting in social groupthink to belong that are lying too. I cannot tell you how many Billy Graham crusades. I was baptized by Benny Hinn in the Jordan River. Research it. My life is weird. Seventh-day Adventism, Benny Hinn. Like, I have seen mystical, evangelical, Pentecostal, supernatural truth and bullshit. People shaking, speaking in tongues, calling out in animal sounds. All this is real. I know. Some of it, most of it. And there are so many people who just get up because that is what helps them belong and feel special in the world. Anyway, Nicole said, death is only a thing for those left behind. For the person who has transitioned, they are super busy. She laughs. The whole, if only for those who remain, or is only there for who remains. And think of you going on a plane as opposed to the person who has the long drive home. Agree? I relate, like, funerals are for the people left behind and weddings are for the party, like the husband and the wife, they gave everyone a party that they're not going to remember or enjoy probably, and everyone else goes home with party favors. So we have these ceremonies to honor the witnesses, not actually the central act who got killed out.
No. Yeah, that's a great observation.
Do you okay, I'm doing a time check. It is 3:38. Where do you live again?
I live in Corvallis, Oregon. So it's it's like 70 or so miles south of Portland. Yeah.
When do you need to end by? I know I only schedule 90 minutes and often my interviews go as they go. So I'm checking in with my schedule. I've got 4 more clients, but I have some time. Would you like to give as we close and recapitulate?
You came in and out there a little bit.
Oh yeah, our connection is not so good.
Sorry for my Wi-Fi.
We're still in the shadow of Mercury retrograde. We thought we were free and clear, but no, there's always a long tail. God
damn it, Mercury.
Can you hear me okay? Should we type to each other?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I can hear you. It was just that last little.
Yeah, okay. How much time would you like to give to closing this session? What feels good to you? Like 5, 10, 25? Give me some margins for your day.
5. We can close it up. We didn't really get a chance to talk about writing or anything.
Dude, there's so much to talk about.
It was a really
I'm hanging in there. I just want to make sure that you're not. I don't want to bind you to my podcast and you're like sweating and can't even pee. You tell me what your needs are. I am hanging out. I'm checking in with my work schedule, which, as I told you before we went live, like I left it stupidly open and people flooded in and booked me all over. And I was like, oh, damn, I am not free ever, which is a good thing, but also work. I love my job, and also the grind is the grind. But okay, here we are today. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. I got a rescheduling from Tuesday to Thursday, which works better for me. Great. And then I don't have my next client until 6, and then I'm done. So I'm free to hang. And I do have a lot of questions about writing. What do you...
Look,
Wait.
I say we go.
What do you wish
You said, wait.
is a question I had asked you that I haven't asked you yet? And or where would you like to go next, talking about all things writing?
I don't know. I mean, we could just get into, we can talk about process, talk about different, I guess that would be, I don't know. Writing is it's kind of a funny thing to talk about because it's so simple. You really just sit down and do it. But at the same time, it is completely
you just sit down and write. It's simple.
simple.
You just sit down. So let's talk, actually. That's a good pointed question. Your rituals, your routines, you've been in martial arts, you have discipline, you probably lean more towards the left than the right. And you are quite integrated and dynamic and all the things. So do you have a set routine with writing? Do you wake up at the same time every day? Is it in your schedule? Does it come as it flows? I'm a middle of the night writer. Everything I write that's actually great, it happens in the dark at night. And then the people in my life are like, are you okay? You're not sleeping. I'm like, listen, I sleep during the day. I work at night. I'm a night owl. I'm a creature of the night. I love it. It's not unhealthy. My best thoughts in pure, honest, just poetic prose, lyrical form, they come from 2:15 maybe to as soon as the first birds. As soon as I hear the first birds, I'm like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it. I do not want to see the sun come up. Glory to me that I'm being creative all night long, and don't let me wake up to the same day that's a different day. So I have my limits, but I do write best in the places where I should be sleeping and everyone else is. What's your process? Like, are you like so meticulous that you plan it out to every supplement that you add into your smoothie like 2 hours before you sit down to write, and then you have a rigid time? Or is it the ocean?
No. I try to get up at the same time every day, which is right now about 7:30 in the morning, and then I read. I get up, I putter, I take the dog out, I make a pot of coffee, I put on something quiet, some kind of piano music, some kind of instrumental music, and then I read for 30 minutes to an hour every day. And then when the bell goes, I set a timer for the reading, and then when that bell goes off, I sit down at my desk. I try to get at least 1,000 words in, but anywhere between 500 words to 1,000 words. Yesterday I wrote 2,100 and change, but that's a big day. That is not a normal. I usually shoot for 1,000 words. Or
I love this. Like, yeah. I am so about your process, and I'm saying to the chat, it shows. It shows when people have practice. It shows when people have routines. It shows when people have discipline. That mastery only comes with blood, sweat, and tears. Practice. And oh shit, you just said something that I wanted. Damn, this is the life of my brain, No disclaimers.
But basically, it can be summed up. Basically, the first 3 to 6 hours of every day is for the creative space, and then outside of that is just life. But I like to allow, because I think sometimes it's good to be disciplined, and I think sometimes you have to wild out. You gotta go get drunk with a notebook and write crazy thoughts, and
go wild.
And so I allow room for that.
Lunch, just be William S. Burroughs, and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. what I talked about with, God, I can never remember this. Something in plentitudes. What is it? It is so dumb.
Strung out on
I have
plentitudes?
forgotten his name twice in my live posts, and he is the live that I pinned to the top of the page. Something S with my, and you know what? My memory was never like this before chemo. These are realities I've had to accept, and I'm like, this is my brain now. Maybe it won't be forever. Maybe I'll run a marathon and drink broccoli all day, and then it will come back. But the woes of chemo and whatever, marijuana. I love. Oh, strung out. Yes, strung out on plentitudes is his profile name, and he and I were talking about this exact same conversation, and he leans the latter. I'm going to refer to him later, but I did want to get back to the thought I originally remembered, which is that you took a sabbatical from work. That was the question I was going to ask you, because right now you are writing,
Yeah.
and giving so much time to that. What, like, as you are doing full-time work, and how do you manage the balance between productivity and analysis?
Well, I mean, the only my writing life right now is exactly the same as when I'm working full time. It's just my afternoons look a little different. They're just less restful, I suppose.
So you still get 3 hours every day?
Yeah, so I don't.
What?
3 to 5, yeah.
Damn.
So I like.
That's good,
But
dude.
I mean, so but if like I do that, if like say I'm working from 7:30 till, and then at 1 p.m. my alarm goes off, I have to take my dog on a walk, and then at 2 I work from 2 to 10. I go home, and I'm like completely ragged at that point. If I do that for like 3 or 4 days in a row, I need a day off. Like I will have a day where I just veg, and do things that are not even probably not good for me, not creatively stimulating, but I just feel drained, you know. So right now that I'm just not experiencing that. So that's the main difference, is that my afternoons I can work out, I can read, I can cook. I've been cooking a lot more. So it's like a different, that the evenings are the different part of the creative process. But the end, I guess it gives me some freedom. Like yesterday, I wanted to finish something. I needed to work to a certain point. And if I know that I have an obligation at 2, it's easier for me to succumb to the voice that says power down early, reconfigure. And so now I don't have to indulge that. I can dream myself.
So you have developed interoceptive awareness, like more awareness to your bodily cues in some ways. And we started off talking about people's lack of awareness to what their bodies are telling them they need. How did your creative process and insights and flow change, if it did, between creating in the morning versus creating at night?
Well, it's interesting. When I first started really writing, I was a kid, and I liked writing at night. I would wait until everybody in the house was asleep, and then I would put on, honestly, it sounds so silly, but there was something about it. I had a little tiny box TV in the corner of my room, and I put on like an old anime VHS tape, and then turn the volume down a little bit so that I could just kind of hear it. And then I would just write. And now I don't know. I think that I struggle with sleep. I think I have like low grade insomnia. And so the not writing at night, I don't know. I feel so tired at night now, as opposed to when I was a kid. Like the energy has.
Yeah, I cannot. It's interesting because we all have different sleep chronotypes. I'm guessing that you might be more of a lion, or at least a bear, but there are 4-ish. And the lion wakes up at 5. It's type A. It's the CEO, assertive commander. Like, it gets at it. Also more prone to cardiac arrest. The bear they fit in.
Oh no.
It's true. It's been studied, clinically proven. There's type A, type B, type C. I obviously have type C because I got cancer. Type B, you know, they're the second sibling. They're laid back. They're the prodigal son. Anyway, oh shit. I am so tired. It's because I was camping. Aw, Elias. Aw. Take that morning, people. Oh yeah, Maddie. Guys, track us. I am too busy and too ADHD disorganized at this current point in time. I went camping. I was telling, I know it's the Wild West with me sometimes, people. I don't mean to be this way, but I do try to be kind. At least when I know that I'm operating on my last 2 brain cells and I'm not likely to regulate my emotions well, I know what to remove myself. And, you know, that's probably why I postponed our live twice, but it's also because maybe divine timing. And also I was camping and slept an hour after sleeping maybe 3 hours in a haunted hotel in Ione. And then accidentally left my therapist schedule open and people flooded to it, booked me straight the damn hell up, and then was working 7 sessions with 1 hour of sleep, then 9 the next day. And today is, I don't even know what year it is. So that's what's happening. Oh, okay. Elias is saying he cannot. He's flying. I love flying around the Hawaiian Islands, dude. Those planes are so World War almost II-esque. They're like, those are old 70s, 80s, 90s planes that are strong. You can feel it because those were in circulation when they had to think about the Japanese kamikazes. I have a special affinity of all.
Yeah, and they made everything to last back then.
Yeah. The reason I have an Alaskan Air credit card is because I get all my flights direct, mostly free, with a 50% discount for my buddies to Hawaii. Elias, I'm coming to you. We're going to go camping. Can't wait. He's fine. Okay. Take that morning, people. Maddie, Sarah, Nicole, track us. Or Mike, get me back on track. Because I felt like I was not making an important point, but I did have a solid tie-in that I'm having.
We were talking about I'm
going to watch this back and be like, oh my God. Yes. Okay. Agreed. Oh yeah. Yeah. I was doing okay. Thank you. I was doing the chronotype. So
okay.
The Bears, they operate best on the 9 to 5 schedule. Dolly Parton wrote a song about it. It's bullshit, but you know what? Our corporations have profited very much off of our bear sleep chronotypes because lucky for them, their brains wake up and they're functional during the designed work day. The rest of the fuckers, the lions, you're going to burn out. I don't know if you're a lion. You might be a dolphin, but probably a lion. But the lion.
I like putting in a day's work. I like that feeling of having like a set thing that I'm
okay. I think you're a lion
crying. When I achieve it, I can power it down.
You prefer working in mornings versus night? Your creative flow strikes in the morning. That's when your brain is on.
I think because I think that if I switch this around, mostly it's this way because I like relaxing at night. But if I switched it and I decided to start writing at night, I think that the inspiration would come then. You know, I think it's more about setting a date with yourself and committing to it and sticking with it, and then the muse starts to sing. You know, but I don't think it cares whether the specific time I do it at. It's like, so morning right now, it's because I'm conditioned. It's like a self-hypnotism. But if I wanted to do that at night, then I think that would, you know, there would be an adjustment period, but then it would also just start happening. It's just more about, for me, being at the desk at the time I say I'm going to be there. And then the rest of the whatever I'm working with in the creative ethos out there is agrees to come help me, you know? but I don't like. It's just it's been so long that I've been writing in the morning that feel like it's weird when I finish big projects. I usually take like a couple weeks off from writing, and like those mornings are weird. They feel very full. The days get kind of longer. Wow, I have a lot of time to fill right now.
I really appreciated your response. I think that you naturally have, do you hear a feedback loop? Like, is there noise distortion happening for anyone? Like, okay, the people in the chat, is there feedback? Obviously, we have no mics together and there aren't like third parties tuning in, I think. I mean, NSA is always the fuck here. Cool, whatever cameras I can tell Mark, my landlord, put in to make sure I'm a good girl or whatever. But is anyone hearing noise?
God, they're the worst.
There's a delay, and your screen looks a little bit fuzzy. And I'm not blaming you or your internet, but you look fuzzy to me. Do I look fuzzy to you?
Is it my? I have a. It's my. Is it my desk lamp? It's green.
Turn it off. I don't know.
Just make it a little better.
The energetic interferences
No.
coming. I think it made it worse. Yeah.
No, that's too
okay, I'm gonna turn off my AC. Maybe it's like fully blasting and I need to empty the water jug anyway. I feel like I'm living in Madrid. You have to like manually empty the water because no one actually water because
I was actually going to say, Jamie, we had we brought the conversation full circle. This feels like a fair and easy.
This is a good time to end, right? This is, is that what we're saying?
Yeah,
We'll dovetail it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, I have
I truly appreciate. Okay.
I have 3 rapid fire, very quick questions. You can answer them however you want.
Okay.
You can tune out in like 2 minutes or whenever you need to. Is that okay?
Okay.
Or do you go? Or am I pushing you into something?
I'm ready. No. Go ahead.
Okay. I stole this from Tim Ferriss, but I like it. You have a billboard, and you can put a slogan on it as much as can fill a billboard for everyone in your city, state, country, world to see. You get to choose. What is the message you most want to communicate to traffic in the world?
Dare greatly.
Brene Brown, right?
That's my life slogan. That's like I have that quote. I've carried it around in my wallet. It's been on almost every boxing gym I've ever worked out at. Dare greatly. I think that people need to try.
Yeah, and you brought this up earlier, which we won't go into, but it's just we experience our thoughts. Sovereignty is in the mind. Your mental state, yes, depends on some biological factors, exercise, sleep, nutrition, and we experience our thoughts in real time. Our hormonal reactivity is instant. So choose your thoughts. And if you choose to dare greatly, you choose to go after your dreams, you choose to envision and see it and manifest it and work all the damn way until you publish or marry or have kids or whatever it is. Amazing. But I do know we've both experienced deaths of people we cared about too young. And that informs how we interact with everything that happens and, from that point on. And I do subscribe to daring greatly and going toward love, not to be stupid, but to allow yourself to be heartbroken because you cannot have grief without the most beautiful forms of love. And that's what I get in your poetry, long story short, is that you tie it all around and all the symbols and you show and all of it and say not so much. And what you do say is quite immaculate, like eloquent. And I appreciate people who have a practice because it shows up in the way that they speak, because what we talk about, it's what we think about. And I like your mind. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much, Jamie. I really appreciate it. This was wonderful. Yeah.
Enjoy your
And everybody
sabbatical.
who took the time out of their day.
Yeah, I'm so glad
Thank
you're
you. Yeah.
comfortable with me. And so when you go back to work, what's your role again?
I work at Trader Joe's, so it's
Oh,
like
yeah,
everybody does everything there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you get good discounts? Bennies?
Yeah, 20%.
Sweet.
Which is enormous right now because things are outrageous. So.
Yeah, man, I can't even afford
It's a very
toilet paper, eggs. I stopped eating eggs back in basically when Trump became president. Blamed it on Biden. Anyway, I will let you go, good sir. Thank you for your time. You've got
Thank
me
you.
subscribed and
Thank you.
hooked, and I will be reading everything you write henceforth.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Have a good day. This was lovely.
Me too. Bye. Bye, everyone. Florence, you came late, but you can watch the okay. Bye. See you later.